All right, let's get started. We weren't happy with our first weekend of play in many regards. A lot of lessons learned for our group. Our takeaways in general, Friday night's game is kind of unusual as it was. If you just looked at the box score and you saw all the penalties, you'd think it was kind of a chippy, scrappy type game, which it wasn't at all. It's just, I think all of us, the two teams, the four officials, were all trying to adapt to the standard of enforcement directives that are out there nationally that we put forth by the NCAA committee. And it was a little bit of a trying evening in that regard for both teams. I thought their team did a better job taking advantage of it. Our special teams were poor, theirs were good, and the result was a win for them. I also thought that our inexperience showed that night in dealing with the frustration that kind of came along with that, and that's something that we talked a lot about and hopefully we'll learn from very quickly. The next night was a different kind of game. I thought the standard kind of settled in a little bit on both sides for both teams, and the teams kind of settled in. But there again, I don't think we were able to generate the kind of consistency in our game. We had probably a spell in the second period of maybe 14, 16 minutes that I felt we were starting to put a game together, but just couldn't sustain it long enough. And again, I think special teams, which we really thought going into the weekend, special teams would be a real factor early in the season, and we just didn't perform on those on either side. Spent a lot of time with it. Had we known 80% of the Friday night game would have been, or whatever the percentage was, maybe we would have spent even more time on it. But we will continue to spend a lot of time because we do have a lot of new parts, penalty kill and power plays. So we have to continue to spend a lot of time on that. Denver is a real good team, fast, skilled, a lot of depth. I think they're a team that has a chance to contend nationally, and that presents a real challenging and exciting opportunity for our team, especially on a home opening weekend. So I know, we came home not feeling too good about our play, and we've spent lots of time talking about where we need to be. We got banged up a little bit. We lost some guys to injury. Some experienced guys were out of the lineup that didn't help our cause per se, given our inexperience. But at the same time, a lot of guys had a lot of opportunity to play and gain some experience, which we felt was going to be kind of part of the deal early in the season. So Denver comes in here coming off two big wins against BU, who's got a real good team. Denver was at home, and this might be their first road series. I can't remember. So that'll be a test I'm sure that they're looking forward to, and for us to be home and be able to kind of learn from the lessons that were tough to swallow last weekend. That's our challenge, and we're getting after it. Questions?
So obviously you gave up 13 goals in 2 games. Is that a lot? You talked about the special teams. Is that mostly there? Is it defense, goaltending, Gretzky on their team? What?
The first night there was a ton of special teams. Like I don't know, Barnesy, what was that end number? I never calculated, but
power plays or something like that?
I mean it was just a large number of special team situations. I think we gave up 4 power play goals that night, and is that right?
4 for 12.
Yeah.
1 for 11.
Yeah, and we were 1 for 11, and so not taking advantage of those really shifts the momentum in the game. And that, again, it was a very unusual game, very unusual. The next night it was different. There was more balance, but again, we didn't kill penalties very well. We didn't pick up defensively very well, and so does our goaltending need to be better? Absolutely. But I'm not going to stick it on our goaltending. I thought it was a team effort giving up that number of goals, and that's just a number you just can't give up.
Tom, on Saturday, I think you guys were playing 5 freshmen, weren't you, or first-year players?
Saturday?
Saturday?
Saturday we had
Because Holland.
we had
No, I mean on
10
defense.
freshmen in the lineup.
Yeah, I mean on defense.
Yes,
Yeah.
Holland got a DQ on Friday night, and so and Gat's been out with an injury.
Right.
So our most experienced guy back there was Osborne.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did the defensive core react? Is that part of the struggle from Saturday?
Yeah, I think it was a part of the struggle the whole weekend, not just on defense, but and this has been a concern of mine all preseason, is I know our team can skate. Like, I'm very confident in our overall ability to get up and down the ice with speed. Early part of the season, you're implementing so many new things, and I just remember as a freshman myself, and the game didn't play at the pace back in my day as it does today. But you get out there and you're trying to think, where am I supposed to be in this situation? It's not very natural because all this is so new to you, And I really felt that was we looked like we were standing around a lot of the times. And it's not because we can't skate, and it's not because we're not in shape. It's because to this point, we're not playing in a natural manner where you're just instinctively playing. And I've told our guys, we've tried not to do too much too soon, but we're trying to find that balance. And I've told our guys, go out and just play hockey. Go play hard. Go play with speed. If you make mistakes, oftentimes the game can be pretty forgiving if you're just playing hard and playing with pace. And I thought we were hesitant all over the ice in every situation, killing penalties, on the power play, certainly even strength situations. So that was the theme to the weekend to me, and we'll get through that, But obviously, as you go through it, you want to get through it quick because otherwise, there's other trickle down effects to your confidence and other types of things.
On Friday, though, going to the third period, you were trailing 3-1. At that point, did you think you were really in that game? Were you doing some things that were good and that could turn the thing in the third period?
Well, we actually put ourselves in a pretty good situation. We climbed back into the game. I thought we had some momentum that we were building, and then we ended the second period with a 5-on-3 power play for a minute, and then we started the third period with a 5-on-3 power play, and we had like open net chances to score, and we didn't. So the whole weekend, we never were able to take advantage of situations that would have helped us change the momentum. And as a result, everything ended up going in their direction.
Coach, you mentioned a little bit earlier that you thought your team was hesitant over the course of the weekend. Do you think that's just due to the amount of inexperience and the youth of this team?
Very much so. Very much so. And we were very aware of that coming into the year. Experience really matters, and it takes time to get experience. And so we've been trying to be careful as to how much we're implementing. Our game, I try to equate it to like a quarterback. A quarterback has to be able to go up back and read the situation, whatever presented to him at the time. He's going back with a plan, but who knows how that's going to play out. So every guy on the ice, when the puck changes, whether you have it or you don't, is kind of a read and react type player. And if you stand around too much trying to read the situation, that split second or every split second that it takes you to react, it's time loss. And I thought our guys, we were a half a step behind for that reason. And we've got to, I think we played afraid to make mistakes, and that's not a way that you can play. So we're trying to take that pressure off guys. It's easier said than done, but I think that's an important part of trying to get comfortable. Just go play hard.
Tom, both these games, I know it's just small sample size, but LSSU jumps out right away. You guys are in a hole right away. Is that something you attribute to the inexperience or the hesitancy, or how much does that concern you that right away you guys are playing from behind in these two games?
Well, you don't ever want to play from behind, and so that digs a hole, especially with a young team who's trying to kind of find themselves. So I thought we started the game real well. Actually, I felt really good about the start of Friday's game, and then again that whole game was. I don't want to talk about officiating because I think the officials are trying to implement something that's being asked of them. I think there was a big gain from Friday to Saturday night. The standard was much different, and I thought Saturday night. Now, at the same time, I will say I think both teams, and I'm talking both teams here, went through Friday night, because that was a very unusual game. I don't see games like that. You would have thought, like I said, that was an incredibly chippy game. So we got right into 5-on-3 power plays, both sides. They took advantage of it. We didn't. And pretty much all Friday's game was that. And then going into Saturday, you're hoping to regroup. You're going to the game trying to think, okay, how's this standard going to be enforced? We kind of reiterated all the points with our team, as I'm sure their team did. And it was a much different game in that regard. But again, special teams became a pretty important factor. We gave up 2 power play goals and a shorthanded goal.
You talked about defensemen already. What did you see from Jared? Did he look comfortable? Is he still working back? And how important was that for him?
Yeah, I like Jared a lot, actually. But again, having reasonable expectations. Jared hadn't played in a game like that for almost 20, I think it was 23 months. And so I thought he competed hard. I think he'll get better every day and every week that we play. But there was a lot that we really liked about his game and certainly his potential.
Were there any of the young guys that stood out for you, anything on the positive front? And also, you talked earlier about the idea of maybe rotating the goalies. Is that something you think you continue to do early here?
Yeah, you know what? I think I will. Again, I want to give those guys a chance to get their feet on the ground, build some confidence. I told Leth, I took him out at the end of the first period. We gave up, 4 goals in the first period on Saturday night. And I thought there was one that he kind of mishandled, so it wasn't really on him. I didn't lose trust in him, but I just wanted to shake something up. So I waited till the end of the period. And I told him right after that, hey, get ready to go back in the net. I haven't lost confidence in you. You're going to play, and I'll tell those guys that this week. So we will continue to play both those guys. What was your other question? Oh, any of the freshmen stand out? Yeah, there were parts. There were parts of time periods where we saw what we think a lot of these freshmen will be able to do. We just didn't do it with any level of consistency, And again, this is an ultimate team game, so it's hard, unless you're a goalie, to really stand out unless you're working in groups of 5. And so I thought there were parts of a number of guys' games that were notable, but it was in a smaller sampling than I'd like.
Coach, looking at the start on Saturday, you guys gave up 4 goals. Kind of a slow start. How did you feel about that, and how much can you attribute that to kind of this officiating switch that you guys kind of dealt with on Friday?
Well, I wouldn't attribute it to the officiating switch at all on Friday, other than I do think that the way the penalties were enforced on Friday put everybody on both teams. So their team had to deal with it the same way. Like I felt that impacted both teams. The difference in Friday's game was their special teams were good, ours were poor. How it moved into Saturday, certainly you go out there kind of wondering what's the standard going to be like, and you're a little on guard because the way some of the penalties were called, it was a pretty radical change to what we were used to and even probably expecting. And I think over the course of the game, as things settled in, both teams kind of adjusted to the standard, is what normally happens. But to fall behind and give up 4 goals in the first period, that's hard to overcome. We dug ourselves a hole, and I told our guys to get out of this hole, we got to stop digging. And so you're trying not to take penalties because in that situation you can't afford to be in the penalty box. Our penalty killing was not very efficient at the time. And so, it does get on your mind. It forces you to be a little more conservative than you want to be, and it gets you on your heels. Second period, we did climb out of it a little bit, started to find a little bit of game and start to build a little momentum, and we just weren't able to sustain it.
Tom, what do you remember about playing Denver last season out there? And when you were a player, did you ever play against Denver at all?
I don't recall ever playing against Denver as a player, no, when I was a player. I recall that they have a skilled team. They're very fast. They play with lots of tempo. I remember the altitude was, yeah, that was a main issue, and especially because we had some injuries that we were dealing with. We had some key guys out at the time. I think that was our second weekend of the season, and the altitude was a real factor, especially in the Saturday night game. And I asked George Gwozdecki when we were out there, what can visiting teams do? He said nothing. That's quite a home ice advantage. So, we won't have to contend with that this year, but their team is skilled. They have depth. They have a lot of speed on their team. They're dynamic offensively in transition, very dangerous in transition, very dangerous in the offensive zone. They got a lot of movement. Their defensemen are very active, and so they're hard to play against. They're hard to forecheck. They're hard to be physical with, even though they're not a big team, just because they're very efficient puck movers. So they play a very appealing brand of hockey that is tough to defend. Anything else? Good? All right.